I've learned to report on the cloud. Hi, this is Marge Beeler with RareAgent, and today's guest is Bob Perkins, and he's been a great mentor to me and many others through the American Association of Inside Sales Professionals. So I want to welcome you, and I also want to ask if you will take a few minutes and kind of explain your career path and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Marge. And as I said earlier, it's great to see you after a few years. And my career sort of started out as a teacher, and I taught for about 3 years. And people asked why I left teaching, and I said, well, I taught junior high. So it was a little crazy. I found myself moving into sales. So I sold briefly for a year or two, and then I got into managing, and I really kind of fell in love with leading people. And so my entire career has been around leading, whether it's been a director of inside sales, a VP of inside sales, and I also fell in love with inside sales because back in the day, we were kind of the underdog, if you will, and I sort of liked being in a position that we had to prove our value and prove our worth. And from there, the idea for the AA-ISP was born because we didn't have many resources back then. And now we all know what's happened to our great profession. It's really come a long way.
Yeah, I still remember, I think I started the Atlanta chapter.
Yes.
And then coming to, I think that was 2009, coming to I think it was Minnesota, and bringing IBM's executive staff to the leadership dinner.
Yes.
And boy, has that taken off. So that I feel rewarded that at least I helped in some way.
You did. Those were the early days, and now it's not just Atlanta or Minneapolis, but we're all over the world. So it's pretty cool to have seen that grow.
It is. Okay, so I may have to put on my reading glasses every now and then for just to look at my notes. But the first question is, if you were to mentor a company under 20 million, what would the mentoring points be?
Well, in a day and age where technology seems to be everywhere, and it seems to be everything, you still need the personal, the human side. So I would mentor them to start by building a very strong people culture.
Okay.
And I say that because it's people, it's, them driving towards a common vision, mission, and goal that's really going to help you get to where you need to get to. The technology, the pieces and parts are certainly important, and they will follow. But if you have a good process and good technology without a strong culture, it's not a good equation.
Okay. So technology is big, and people.
Yeah.
How about? Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say. So how about if they were a company, let's say like 250 million? Same.
Well, I think
suggestion or point.
I think it's in some ways if you look at a smaller, let's say a company that's more in a startup mode, more in a growing mode, and a very established company like an IBM that you mentioned, there's pros and cons. With an established larger company, you already have a culture by nature. They've been around for a while, and you have processes, but sometimes we get complacent in thinking that this is the way we've always done it. So I would try to encourage people to, you can't expect the same results doing the same thing day in and day out. So be willing to change, be willing to take risks, try new things. You're always learning, right? So don't rest on your laurels necessarily if you're a larger company.
Okay, and that's interesting because I have worked with many large companies, and one of the things they've done, even with our company, because we have pilot programs and we have other technology and software, right? sometimes they get frustrated with their own rules internally, and they'll ask, can we do a pilot program to get around the inside politics? I mean, have you heard that a lot with what you do?
I lived through it, right? In my career, I worked for some large companies, and I was kind of a little bit of a renegade, but, you know, I think the best leaders that are trying that find ways to work around the system and try new things while still being politically savvy and still selling,
Right.
still being able to sell upward their ideas.
Uh-huh.
Nothing better than, you know, proof in the pudding. So if you try something and it works, you know, most senior leaders are going to say, hey, let's keep doing that.
Yeah, I always would tell my agents, always ask forgiveness, not permission at first.
That's a golden rule. Good, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. What advice would you give a person who is going to receive mentoring for the first time?
Well, we actually have a mentoring program as part of the AA-ISP. So we've seen a lot of these relationships form. And I think early on, make sure that you're compatible, right? So before you even just, oh, I see you're a vice president, I would like you to mentor me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that there's a common, some common values, some common goals. Get that started up front before you jump into a mentor relationship. Once you've had that discussion, I think just realize that in a good mentor relationship, let's say I'm the protege and I'm working with someone who is my mentor. I even think back when I had a lady named Heather Smith. She was my boss, but in a way she also acted as a mentor, fortunately for me. And a lot of that responsibility for that relationship still was on my shoulders. It wasn't, oh, this person is going to make me successful. I had to be the big part of that equation. So don't think it's don't think it's this magic thing that's going to just automatically help you advance your career. You got to put more into it than you get out of it.
So, and I heard that when I've actually been asked to mentor, I'll say, I'm going to hold you accountable. And there's accountability. And if you don't live up to that accountability, I'm going to be able to pull back my mentorship to you.
Yeah.
So, same thing.
Yep.
Regarding mentors who have influenced you the most, can you name one or two or three and why?
Well, I've been fortunate to have some really good bosses over the years. I'll mention Heather Smith. What Heather, I think, did for me was she identified the areas that I was not comfortable at, or areas that maybe she used to tell me, don't get ahead of yourself, right? And because I always wanted to just go first and figure out where I was going later. And she really did a nice job of sort of working on that blind spot of mine. That's one. Another one is a gentleman named Larry Sheffield. He used to be with IBM. And Larry was someone that kind of gave you a lot of leeway. And then recently I had a gentleman, Ed Bifolk, and Ed, I reported Ed, and Ed was, Bob, he goes, you're the expert. Why am I gonna meddle in your business if you're the expert? I'll be there to help. I'll be there to support. I'll keep the wind in your sails. I've been fortunate now. I've had some other jobs where it's been the flip Marge, where someone would kind of come in and try to micromanage their way into your business, and that is a recipe for failure. So I just think mentors can do a lot by simply being there as a resource. And the biggest thing you need in any relationship, and this is boss to subordinate, mentor to protege, trust. Build trust. And I put that upon the senior leader, the boss, if you will. That is your job. You have to create an environment of trust. When trust happens, then you have open communication. You can correct someone if need to, encourage someone.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. On the trust, what are examples of the trust building or incidents that built the trust for you?
Good question. I recently had this conversation with someone, and I said, the boss needs to really create a very human and very personal relationship. By personal, I don't mean you have to be best friends. That's not what I mean. But when we think of a human relationship, it's a boss who says, hey, I'd like to take you out let's go out to lunch today because I just want to talk to you about how things are going in your, both in work, maybe even outside of work, assuming it's appropriate to talk about. It's where a boss comes in and says, hey, I see you're struggling today. Is there something I can do to help? Be a servant leader, right? Be open, be transparent, allow for opinions, encourage involvement, right?
Right.
Those type of things make someone feel, safe, right, and trusted.
Good, good. So on that, I've been mentored and I've even had a CEO coach in the past, and one of the things they've always done is they make me do a personal assessment and a business assessment. And it's amazing because we can lie to ourselves, let's be honest, right? We think we're better or we think we're worse at times. And sometimes where we think we're worse, we're actually better, and where we think we're better, we're actually worse. So with that said, how important do you think those type of testing requirements are part of the equation of mentoring?
Well, I would say earlier or early mid in my career, I went through a week-long executive program. And the very first part was a blind 360-degree assessment where your peers, your subordinates, and your superiors commented on different skills and different things that you do as a leader. That was the single most eye-opening experience I've ever gone through. There were a couple of wow moments where you were called out on some things you didn't realize you were doing. Now the good news is we all have those, right? Everybody on earth has these things that it would be, that could use some help, could use some improvement. And I found out what some of mine were, and I literally worked at them. And everybody should go through. Everybody needs to, especially if you're on a team or in a leadership role, because it's not there to change you. It's not there to change your personality. It's there simply to make you aware of some areas that could help you be even better. It's like golf instruction, right? I'm good at these three things, but I have an area I'm weak in. Well, I need to work on that weak area. So I think they're fantastic. I don't think we use them enough. I think we probably ought to use them more often, maybe, in today's world, where we just hire people and get them going on the phone, make the calls, make the sales, and development is, I think, lacking a little bit today.
And I agree. I always say I take tennis lessons. I believe that when you work and all, you have to give yourself some play. And I had the neck injury, and it's been 4 years since I was able to pick up a tennis racket. Well, it's amazing in 4 years, the skill sets that you're excellent at, how rusty they get. So I totally 100% agree with that. The last question is, how important is it to invest in yourself? I know that a lot of companies or people think that their companies should pay for all the education and training. I find the best leaders and even sales and marketing individuals invest in themselves regardless if the company will invest with them.
Yeah.
What's your thought on that?
I totally agree. I mean, as you said that, I just looked over here. Here's one of the next books I'm going to read. I think I was just at a Dallas chapter meeting yesterday, and a guy named Tim Wackel presented, and Tim this was awesome. He gave a rule that he uses: 30-20-10. 30 minutes of physical activity, 20 minutes of reading. And I don't do that. I put a book in my briefcase to read on the plane. I never got to it because I had emails. And then 10 minutes of journaling. What could I have done better today? what did I do well today? So I agree 100%. And I think to your point, Marge, is, you know, largely where you take yourself, where you take your career is largely your own responsibility. Now, some of us fortunately have had people to help us along the way, family, parents, friends.
Right.
So,
yeah, great. Well, I've really enjoyed this, and you'll get a copy of it. So if you want to share it, you're welcome. And I will also try to get it transcribed so we can use it in our blog, but it will be a video blog. And I just want to say thank you. You've mentored me, and the AA-ISP itself has mentored me. And I think one of the neat things you guys do is the workshops. And I think when I first came on board, I said this, we need more hands-on people interacting, because everybody does think something a little differently, and you can learn from them. And that's my thing is, you know, when you're mentored and you do it well, be a blessing and give it to others. So thank you for doing this, and I really appreciate your time.
Marge, thank you. And we're going to be in your neck of the woods in June, so we'd love to invite you out to either just come visit with us we have a day-and-a-half conference, but we'd like you to come participate maybe on a speaking panel or something. So
I would love that. Is that, which location is that? Because, you know, I go back and forth between different states.
Okay, yeah, it's downtown Atlanta. It's going to be in early June.
Okay, that sounds good. I would love to be on the panel. Well,
Great.
Thank you again, and have a great day. And as I like to say, make it a great day. If I have it, make it. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.